Hello there everyone and welcome to week 5. In this video I'll be going through an introduction of both of these assignments, both of these programs, to show you how I would start them. And real quick I wanted to show you, so we had a template program written that looked kind of like this, just really simple. It had just the essential HTML elements in it for an HTML document. Last week though, I put out a video called Chapter 4, Exercise 3, and this one was to make a new template file. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and use that template file that I made here. Okay, so without any further ado, I'm going to split my screen here. I'm going to open up this template file. You can see I added some styling, which definitely isn't required, but it's just for my template. I have my defining table here. I have a template function, which gets called by this button. I have a header, an input, some breaks for styling, a paragraph, and then an output div. Um, just and a lot of this stuff will end up deleting in various assignments, but anyways. All right, so write a defining table in a JavaScript program that asks the user for a volume in quarts, then converts that value into liters. Your program should correctly handle real numbers such as 7.54. Okay, so let's dive in. So first things first, let's do our defining table. Okay, asks a user for volume in quarts. Okay, so I'm just going to copy this right here. Volume in quarts is going to be our input. Our output, we already know, is going to say a value in liters. That's going to be our output. Actually, I'll just say volume in liters. Okay, so we have an input is volume in quarts, output is volume in liters. And then our processing. Your program should correctly handle real numbers such as 7.54. So in this case, and I'll adjust this in my next video, but I would say Google formula to convert quarts to liters, and apply formula in JavaScript. All right. I would copy this file path and paste it. Whoops. To make sure that this is working, and I would obviously change this to say week 5 assignment 1 or quarts to liters or something like that. And then I would take this off or change it to say quarts to liters calculator. And then here, I might want to change this to be more descriptive. I'm going to hit Control D to select both instances of that. And I might say volume in quarts. Okay. And I might copy that and put that here as well too. Okay. And then I might change the name of this template function to say convert quarts to liters or something like that. Might change that to say convert. Don't need that paragraph. Okay, I'd run this again just to look at it, make sure it kind of looks the way that I want it to look. If I type in a number right here, you can see, I have a little space holder here. I won't need that, obviously, but this will be my input. I'm going to need some processing right here, and then we have our output. Okay, and with that, I think that is how I would start this assignment, and now that I know that I have this running, I would just figure out what I would need to do in this processing right here. That's going to give an error if you leave it like that because I just deleted my variable message. Um, but yeah, that's how I'd start this assignment. For the next one, let me copy and paste this in a new file because that was in the wrong spot. So I'm just going to put it in here and say week 5, assignment 1, and I'm going to undo all these changes that I made in my template. Okay, there, my template is good again. Next one says, write a defining table in a JavaScript program to compute the mileage of a vehicle. Your program should allow the user to enter the beginning and ending odometer readings and the number of gallons of gasoline used, and should output the mileage in miles per gallon. Your program should correctly handle real numbers. Notice it said that exact same thing here as well. Okay, so be sure to recognize that you will have to do some parsing in this assignment. Okay, so I'm going to copy this template, paste it in here, and call this one week 5 assignment 2. And here I'll just say this is our mileage calculator. We have our input. All right, let's work on our defining table before we go any further. Let me collapse this a little bit. Okay, so our input looks like it's going to say, it says allow the user to enter beginning and ending odometer readings and the number of gallons of gasoline used. Okay, so there's our three inputs. Okay, so beginning odometer reading and ending odometer reading and the number of gallons of gasoline used. Okay, so three inputs. All right, so this guy right here, I'm gonna have to copy and paste a couple of times because I need a couple of inputs. Okay, now our output should be mileage of miles per gallon. Mileage in miles per gallon. So that's our unit there. Okay, and then we just have our processing to worry about. Okay, so knowing that I would need three of these, I'm just gonna hit. I have my cursor on this line. If I hit Control C, it'll copy the entire line. Then I can just hit Control V twice to make a couple of new inputs. I'll say this one could say like, whoops. This one could say starting odometer reading, ending odometer reading, and this one could be uh, gallons of gas. Okay, really descriptive. They don't have to be this descriptive. Um, and then up here, I would also need three different get element by IDs to get those. So here's a trick for you. If I highlight this text right here and hit Control D, it'll get each instance of that. I'll hit my right arrow, Control Shift right arrow to get each one of those. Then up here, I'll select each one of these by hitting Control D as well and just paste. Okay. And then I'm just going to leave those variable names the same. All right. Now these variable names, they don't have to be the same thing as these IDs. This get element by ID has to match this ID down here. It does not have to match this. I could name this Fred if I wanted to. Okay. It doesn't have to match. What has to match is get element by ID has to be able to find an ID with that ID in it. Okay. Or an element with that ID in it. Okay. So this would be our input. And then we would have some processing, and then we'd have our output. Okay, so I might want to run this just to make sure that it's actually functional and it's not giving me any errors before I do this. See, I see this, I might want to like add some labels, add some breaks, make that a little bit prettier. Maybe take that out, change what that button looks like, and then I have my processing that I have to worry about. Okay, for the defining table for that, if I had to think about it, oh, that's the wrong spot. Okay, so we're going to need to know the total number of miles that were traveled and then divide that by the number of gallons of gas used. Okay, so in here I might say ending minus starting odometer readings. And then I'd say total miles equals that. And then I could say total miles divided by gallons or something like that. And that would get me my mileage. Okay. So that is my introduction for this assignment. I hope I gave you enough and not too much, but let me know if you have any questions. Thanks, guys.